I started this channel in August the 1st, I think the first video went up, of 2024. It's now coming to the end of that year, and I thought as a ready reckoner, it would just be useful to put out the books that I've started but have not finished. I may have done 1 or 2 episodes, and these tend to be big books. So it's going to be in 2 parts. Let's begin with the books that I've started but have yet to complete. And the first one is Lord of the Rings. I've actually recorded 2 episodes. The first one was really setting out that it's a reread with the express intention of looking at the character of Sam. Is it true that he is the engine behind everything as far as the Fellowship is concerned? The second episode is recorded but as yet to appear. It's a big book and it's probably going to be looked into and dipped into and out of for some time. The other one I started is the Bhagavad Gita. I've done 2 episodes that have currently aired, and it's a fascinating book because it's one of the oldest pieces of literature that we have as a species. And it looks at life and death in quite a unique perspective as far as the Western tradition is concerned. Last one was about not fearing death, that ourselves don't die, although the body does, and so on. So that's an ongoing one, and I think it's probably 1, possibly 2 more videos regarding that book. The other one that's ongoing is the Iliad. Now, the Iliad is one of the bedrocks of Western culture. I've done a couple of episodes specifically about why they fought and Hector, that Hector really is the hero. Enjoying the reread. The other book is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Not that long, but there's a lot to delve into and it's quite dense. And I've done 2 episodes, one about preparing for death, and the second one was about, well then, how do we have a good life? I'll probably do 1 more episode regarding that. Another one that personally fascinates me because I'm ex-Royal Navy is about an American of the 18th, early 19th century called Jacob Nagle and his life, and it just staggers belief what he got up to. I've done 1 that really sets him up about halfway through his story. 1, possibly 2 more episodes. Another one that I've started but not completed are to do with philosophy. Mar Bruin's Cookbook. Andy Warhol. I did almost like a comedic one to begin with about how Andy puts his Warhol on. Plato's Republic. I've done the first book, which is all about might is right, and how Thrasymachus believes that justice is only for the strong. I've started Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. I've done 1 episode specifically focused on the time up to and leading up to Aphra Behn. I've started looking at DC Comics and raised a question about how the comics have changed over the years and how they mirror history and what happened to the comics and how they developed. Don Quixote. Done 1 episode on Don Quixote about it puts a mirror up to Spanish society at the time it was written. But again, an enjoyable book, and it raises a lot of topical questions that I like to think about, which is to do with history. The history of the Russian Revolution. Really enjoyed doing that first episode. Just to highlight events leading up to 1905 and Ankara. I've just done 1 on friendship, Celtic thought and ideas, and they are all the books I've started but not finished. So let's get on to the ones that were started and finished. Caedmon's Hymn, very simple. Beowulf, which on reflection, I did it in 1 episode. I probably should have spent a bit more. Also, The Wanderer. It's a melancholy story about a man who has lost everything and is looking back later in life. A couple of ones that I've done as little mini movies in which I just talk. One was The Wife's Lament, and then there was The Ruin. The Wife's Lament comes much more powerful when you see faces that are talked about. It grounds it. The Dream of the Rood. A wonderful ode talking about the cross in which Jesus was crucified and if that cross could talk. A couple of Shakespeare plays, The Tempest, potentially Shakespeare's Last and Farewell. Then there was The Two Gentlemen of Verona, which is considered potentially one of the first and weakest, and The Merchant of Venice. Part of a shift that I went through round about late September, early October, making sure that the female attributes of certain plays like The Merchant of Venice comes out. Also the Beaux Stratagem, and how by the time you get to the middle of the 1700s, the style of plays is radically different to the previous Restoration period, which is radically different to the Shakespearean era, the Apology, which is the trial of Socrates, and how in a way he almost willed himself to be found guilty. The Prophet, the Old Man in His Wisdom, O'Driscoll, and the Slang of the Navy, and I'm ex-Royal Navy. He was of a period in naval history before mine. He was the World War II and back into the 1920s. The Tao Te Ching, and how it really is a guideline to becoming happy. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, you can take from that not just for generals, but for life, business, and so on. Johnson and his plan for the dictionary, because obviously we're using the English language, and it's down to the Bible, the King James Version, and the likes of the dictionaries. Our Man in Havana, Graham Greene. Really interesting book. Says a lot about the Cold War. H.G. Wells' short story about the near destruction of Earth, called The Star, and that end thing about looking at what's happening on the Earth from a distance, and it doesn't seem to be much. I finished Ariel, The Life of Percy Bysshe Shelley. Was he a good person or wasn't he not? The 39 Steps, and I looked at how the book equates to the film, or not, and Agamemnon. Ink Dark Play. So they are all the things that I've done since August. It's been a wonderful journey, but nothing's in a vacuum. What I'm really looking forward to in 2025 are reading the books that some of you have recommended. And my plan, and the only plan I have, is to make 2025 as good as 2024. Ta-ta for now.